Hello, my name is Megan Bontrager. I will be discussing dark tourism and sites of natural disaster in my presentation, The Value in Touring Tragedy. Amongst the various cheerful sightseers that compose the tourist industry are those who travel with eyes set on the morbid. These individuals belong to the tourism subset known as dark tourism. In her article, Storytelling and the Communication of Dark Tourism, Tercia described dark tourism as, quote, having been used to refer to death-related tourism activity, such as visits to sites associated with death, suffering, and tragedy. End quote. Dark tourism focuses on the macabre, though it's not solely for this reason that it is so controversial. Some argue that this topic is harmful to both the victims and the tourists, while others claim the opposite. In areas that have been ravaged by earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, and other natural disasters, dark tourism can be advantageous. Although dark tourism of natural disaster sites has the potential for detriment, it is extremely valuable to both tourists and the victims of natural disasters. For instance, dark tourism is psychologically beneficial for the victims of tragedy. As reported by Chian et al. In their article, Dark Tourism Destinations, the Relationship Between Tourists' On-Site Experience, Destination Image, and Behavioral Intention, quote, visiting such places of trauma can be emotionally cathartic and psychologically healing for those who have lost loved ones in a disaster, end quote. Dark tourism can provide an important sense of mental and emotional relief to those most affected by the natural disaster. Through this practice, they might be able to heal from the tragedies they suffered and remember those lost. The flowers placed at the memorial for the victims of the 2008 Sichuan earthquake are a heartbreaking and beautiful depiction of the love and loss felt by these people. Further benefit is found in this practice as dark tourism is often used to memorialize the victims lost to natural disasters. Chian et al. Claimed that, quote, Beichuan, which along with the majority of dark tourism destinations, was established for the remembrance of dark events and the commemoration of victims. End quote. Memorials such as those established in Beichuan, a county hit by the devastating Sichuan earthquake in 2008, are used to remember and honor the victims of natural disasters. These sites allow the victims to be visited and paid respects to, as well as preventing the disasters that took them from being forgotten. Moreover, dark tourism aids in the preservation of a culture's heritage. As stated by Wang et al., quote, tourists visiting dark tourism sites believe that developing disaster heritage into dark tourism is a useful approach to protecting the heritage. End quote. This illustrates the value dark tourism can have on a society. By way of dark tourism, the memory of historical and culturally significant disasters may be preserved. This can be seen in the Wenchuan Earthquake Memorial at Beichuan Earthquake Museum, where the resolute and heroic efforts of rescuers are immortalized in metallic statues. Dark tourism is further valuable in that it acts as a mechanism of resilience in areas affected by natural disaster. In their article, From Ruins to Heritage Tourism Sites, Exploring Tourist Perceptions, Evaluations, and Behavioral Intentions Towards Natural Disaster Sites, Wang et al. Explained that, quote, dark tourism serves as a mechanism of resilience, which helps communities in disaster areas recover quickly, to revive and revitalize local economies, and boost the restoration and protection of social cultures and ecological environments. End quote. Through the revenue and attention brought in by dark tourism, communities struck by natural disasters such as those in the Sichuan province may find the funds necessary to rebuild. This practice brings hope for the recovery of communities and for their future flourishing. In addition to this, dark tourism promotes self-reflection and allows for tragedies to be learned from. As visitors gaze solemnly upon the remains of the Beichuan Middle School, one might wonder what benefits a tourist could possibly derive from visiting sites of natural disaster. As quoted by Wang et al., quote, Wang et al. Suggests that visiting natural disaster sites could help tourists obtain life education to contemplate a better cherished life and receive education on disaster preparedness and prevention. End quote. This form of tourism not only encourages the tourist to ponder the effects and purpose of their actions and lives, but allows them to better appreciate life as well. The knowledge gained from visiting disaster sites can provide insight into how future losses caused by natural disasters might be lessened and what safeguards should be in place. Dark tourism is extremely valuable due to benefits such as these. However, when misused, this form of tourism can be detrimental or even dangerous. An example of such danger is the hazardous touring of natural disaster areas. Skinner explains in his article, Plymouth Montserrat, Apocalyptic Dark Tourism at the Pompeii of the Caribbean, that, quote, southern Montserrat is no longer a no-go area, as tourism's leisure periphery pushes back against the volcano, end quote. Natural disaster sites such as Plymouth and the still active Soufriere Hills volcano in Montserrat are potentially dangerous and can pose a hazard to tourists who venture too far. In order to prevent additional tragedy from occurring, it is of extreme importance that hazardous areas not be encroached on. Another example of the detriment caused by dark tourism is the insensitivity and exploitation of the victims and their losses. The anger and heartbreak at this practice is illustrated in Fourgonier's 2012 newspaper, Post-Disaster Tourism Response. The Joplin, Missouri Visitors Bureau has created a map highlighting areas hit hard by a tornado last year, and it has drawn residents' anger. She quotes Carolyn J. Lamson, a resident of the tornado-decimated city of Joplin, saying, quote, how dare they send tourists to my home that was stolen from me? This is sickening. End quote. Those who suffer from natural disasters such as the 2011 tornado in Joplin, Missouri, have been deeply offended and hurt by this insensitivity and exploitation of their suffering. Surrounded by uprooted trees and the scattered remains of their homes, victims are left in the rubble of their hardship and grief while the tragedy is used for entertainment and profit of others. An illustration of this insensitivity and exploitation of tragedies can be seen in the dramatization that often accompanies dark tourism. According to Skinner, quote, a modern-day Pompeii, Montserrat's now buried capital city Plymouth, has been compared to a modern-day Pompeii minus the fossilized bodies, end quote. The labeling given to sites of natural disasters such as Plymouth, the abandoned capital of Montserrat, have been used by travel agencies to attract the attention of tourists by dramatizing tragedies. This blatant disregard for the suffering endured by victims of natural disasters showcases the lack of empathy or compassion held by tourists. However, we as individuals can take measures to combat these harmful aspects of dark tourism. The physical dangers that often accompany this practice can be greatly reduced through research of the disaster site, risk assessment, and the ample application of safety precautions. When we apply these measures, we can understand the true hazards presented and protect ourselves from harm. We can further utilize this research in combating the insensitivity and exploitation that can be seen in dark tourism. A combination of this knowledge, sensitivity, and compassion towards the victims, and a proper sense of respect and sobriety towards the tragedy can be extremely valuable in avoiding exploitation and callousness. Through applying these measures in our travels, we can reinvent the image of dark tourism from one of callousness, exploitation, and reckless endangerment to one of education, preservation, memorial, and healing.